Hello, all you beautiful people, past, present, and yes, even those in the future. Welcome back to .hack GU, the challenge run where we're doing levels 1 through 50 and the first ever dungeon. And let me go ahead and show our progress. I hope everyone is doing cool. I hope everyone is fantastic, getting ready to get started. Hello, Titan. Hello, Orbo. I hope you both are having a fantastic night. Good to have you here, friends. And we are getting close to the halfway mark. I think this stream will hit level 20. Excuse me, we'll hit level 25 or something like that. So we'll double check that here in a second. Because I think last time it was either 24 or 23 or 24. Let's double check that before we do much of anything. Nope, not that. Here we go. What's 50 like the cap in level 1? Yes, level 50 is the cap for volume 1. Yes, volume 2 is 100 and volume 3 is 150. So, the fact that we're doing levels 1 through 50 and the first dungeon that we get introduced, which is the tutorial dungeon with Gaspard and Syllabus, we're already going through a challenge, that's for sure. But hey, we are almost at the halfway mark. We're at level 24 right now. We can't equip any better twin blades for a long time. I think like level 30 or something like that. But our goal right now is to get 992 experience. So let's just hop right in and do this. You know, same thing. This has been quite the grind, and I am determined to get this finished because, including this stream, we have 26 streams of this left. That's not a whole lot. Like, we're getting close to, we're getting close. Like, I know it's going to be a long time coming before we hit level 50, but, look, what luck, we got 2 health drinks. And so, it's just, level 50 is a long, we're in the single digits for experience right now. We're only getting 3 experience per battle. And we're not even doing the full dungeon because, while it may take a little, I think it only takes me maybe 15 minutes doing regular dungeon route versus a half dungeon route. But as long as I can hit my enemies and not be too out there, we're definitely going to be able to do this. When I first started doing this challenge, I would go out and try to get some chims because as per my rules, I'm allowed to go to other areas to get items and equipment, but I am not allowed to gain experience in any area. And we're currently at a story progression wall where we have to defeat the Elder Tree in order to progress the story, and that gives experience, and that's a no-no. So, we don't have access to the Great Sword, so all we have is the Twin Blades to help us out for this. But luckily, we have developed a semi-fast route. I mean, I say semi-fast. Before, it took us, I want to say, 2 hours and 45 minutes just doing a whole dungeon run along with collecting the chims, whereas this, I think it's around the same time, 2 hours and 30 minutes, but we don't have to collect chims. So, not to mention, it does take a long while for the Steam doors to open up, so I figured might as well just do this halfway. Hey Magpie, how's it going? How's it going? How does doing this over and over not emotionally kill you? Joke's on you. I'm already emotionally dead inside. But in all seriousness, it's just kind of I think what helps me out through this is the fact that I am communicating with you guys, my audience. Now, on days where there's no one here, it is absolutely horrible just trying to come up with a topic, come up with, conversation, and just doing this over and over again. But I think that is what I want to, because this game is easy. Regardless of whether or not you choose cheat mode or not, the normal base game is just so easy. You gain experience so much. You get a lot of experience in the base game of this version of GU. And you know what? I figured, we need something to put .hack on the map. So what better way to do that than to do an absolutely ridiculous challenge? Now, this challenge has been done with, not by myself, mind you, but this type of challenge has been done in Final Fantasy VII, where one guy ended up getting 1 to 99, oh, come on. 1 to 99 in the Maka reactor. I've seen someone else do level 1 to 99 in Destiny Islands and Kingdom Hearts. So, man, I'm running out of breath. Whew. Breathe, Claude, breathe! So yeah, I figured, you know what? Why don't I give this a shot? And the difference between those games and this game is that we don't have any cheesy options or any way to increase our experience. Now, technically we do. Technically we have the Amber, Amber Eye or whatever it's called. But the problem with that is it only gives 10% of the total, meaning that it's not multiplicative or anything like that. It's so if it like 1 times 1.1, it's still going to be 1, Let's see. My best friend growing up did the 1 to 99 dungeon thing in every RPG on the PS1 because LMAO. It was just his way of playing for some reason. I think it's mostly because of the challenge factor, because we've enjoyed these games so much. We want to find new ways to entertain us and get us more invested in the games we already love. So some people like to just throw their hat into the ring and, hey, maybe try a challenge like this. I will say, if you're going to do something like this, be prepared. Like, we're already 33 hours in or something like that. It's on the screen here. Like 33 hours already, and we're not even close. I'm estimating that by the time we're finished, we'll hit 100 hours. That is absolutely nuts. That is crazy to me. So we got about like 8,000 battles to go through, but hey, as long as you guys are with me, as long as you guys are keeping me entertained, I'll try to keep you guys entertained with my my quips and my jokes and my communication skills. I'm gonna do the best that I can. And I turned off the music for GU mostly because, well, the dungeon thing could get very repetitive. So I hope this music section is pretty good. By the way, do you have a streaming schedule? I gotta catch more of these live. Yes, I do have a sort of streaming schedule. I need to update. Thank you for reminding me. I need to update. I need to update the one in the Discord. So here is our schedule for our streaming. We stream Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm usually with a couple other friends, Okami, Empty Milkies, and Tara. They're my co-hosts for Monday. We usually play like Kingdom Hearts or any games that we play as a collective group. On Wednesdays, we play a game. I can't even speak. Wednesdays, Okami rejoins us on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where she plays a game. Currently, she is playing through Inuyasha, the Curse of Inuyasha, something about a cursed mask. It's a PS2 game. Let's see, Fridays. So Fridays are our free stream Fridays, meaning that in the Discord, I post about 4 different games that you guys can choose from in a poll. And then whatever gets chosen, we play for that week. And then whatever doesn't get chosen will be transferred over to the next free stream Friday for you to vote on. So the most popular choice will be played, the least popular choice will be dropped off, and you guys get to choose what we play. And as for Saturdays, Saturday is just more of my free day. Like the day that I just kind of play whatever. And I started doing these kind of streams, to fill that void, which I do these particularly usually around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But also I forgot to mention Saturdays are kind of like a flip-flop day. So like I said before, it's usually my free streaming day. So on one week it will be like something like this where I just play just about anything, and then the other is going to be like our D&D campaign, Dawnbound, with, hey, Magpie. Yeah, Magpie's in the chat. Yeah, she's one of the she's one of the players of our D&D games. Oh, the PS2 Inuyasha, my favorite most hated game. Yeah, we've already had some interesting things happen within it. And hey, good thing is, all of our streams are archived, so you could just go back and watch them whenever. And hey, drinks. Yeah, thanks to YouTube, we're able to keep all of our videos up, and you could just watch them back whenever you want. So you have no, you don't need to rush to go to our streams, though I do appreciate you guys being here. Excuse me. Beware, if there's a tie of Free Stream Friday, Claude, excuse me, I do not lie about Free Stream Friday wins. I mean, look. Here is the actual truth of that, Here's the truth of what happens. There's plenty of times happening for Free Stream Fridays, and for me to play it fair, I spin a wheel, Wheel of Names. I have the 2 or 3 games that get tied, along with a option for both, meaning I will have to play both games or whatever for that same stream, so double the length of the stream. And so my Discord likes to bully me, you know, jokingly, of course, bully me about, oh yeah, you're just lying about the spin rolls, you know, you did that yourself, and then I have to, I think the first time I actually used the spin wheel, it's like, okay, here's the image of the result. No, that's not good enough. We need a video. Okay, I recorded a video of me re-spinning the thing, and then like, no, that's not good enough. And then I brought one of you guys into the Discord VA and just be like, look, here's the spin wheel. I am not lying. I need a witness. And so, I love my Discord and all of you guys, you know, that come by and do this, you know. And it's just, it is an awesome experience. It is definitely an experience. I mean, that's kind of what makes streaming very nice for me. Because I do like interacting with you guys, just seeing what you have to say, just kind of striking up these conversations while doing the most mundane thing. You know, just seeing Haseo just breaking all these swords and just kind of like, you know, just going through. He doesn't care about the goblins or the Zon-Bazels, you know. He needs his experience. You know, he needs to get as much experience as he can really fast. So what does he do? He fights a whole lot of goblins, you know, as we all do. It's the World of Warcraft meme. I'm pretty sure I've said that in a previous stream, but this is very much the Make Love Not Warcraft episode from South Park. You know, you're fighting low-level enemies, you know, in order to, you know, get super high level. And I think, no, now that I think about it, I think someone actually is doing that challenge too. My God, it's one thing of doing this. It's another to do it in an MMO. Because, oh boy, look, at least all I have to get is about, like, 26,000 experience here. In that game, you're talking, like from thousands to tens of thousands to millions of experience. God. I commend people who will go out of their way to do these type of challenges like this, because it's just kind of like, don't get me wrong, I like .hack.gu. It gives me a newfound appreciation about how the systems work. At the same time, though, I am looking forward to doing volumes 2 and 3. And yes, if this type of stream does very well, and you guys want to see more of this, you know, like these type of streams, meaning I go out of my way to challenge myself with these things, I will continue to do them. And so the idea is that once we finish volume 1, we'll go to volumes 2 and 3. And I think volumes 2 and 3 will be much faster and much easier, because 1, we have the greatsword. We could just hit all of the enemies maybe 1 or 2 times, done. With the greatsword or the scythe, you know, if we are able to get far enough. 2, we would have speed boost. Yes, we will be able to move faster. Central Grind is that quick question. Can you explain how upgrading the upgrading system work in GU? Never understood it. Do you mean like for weapons, or do you mean like how the experience system works? Like for the upgrade system, basically if you have 2 of the same weapons, you can combine them to make a potentially stronger weapon. It's usually multiplicative, like it goes from like 1 times to 1.05, with a max being 1.25. So 5 copies of a weapon, it, you know, deals a weapon's a number? Yeah, okay. So basically what happens, if you say have like 5 of the same weapon, like the exact same weapon, you combine all of them, and that one weapon that you started off with will deal 1.25 times more damage. And then, since that is the max level, a +5 weapon is the max you can get, I think you can use that to upgrade, like, the next tier of that weapon. Like, for example, if you, say, had a level 1 sword that is +5, you can use that sword to upgrade a, say, a level 3 sword, and so on and so forth. I would usually only recommend, like, just getting 5 copies of a weapon. That you really need, and considering how easy this game can be, I say can be, like Volume 3 can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Hey Tara, how's it going? Welcome, my dude. I hope you're having a fantastic night. Welcome. So, in terms of like Armor's the same thing. You like if you have like an extra copy of the weapon armor, you just combine them and you get the same multiplier, except for instead of damage, it's damage reduction. So I think it's like 5% all the way up to 25%. I could be wrong on that because I don't upgrade armor as much as weapons, but I'm whew, I am talking to my own mid. I am doing good, Tara. I am doing good. Like everyone is here today, and I do appreciate that. You know, I'm a little out of breath, mostly because I'm running my mouth a lot, which is not, you know, in a way. I'm talking a mile a minute. I did not. All I'm drinking is pure leaf tea. Why do I have so much energy? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm having a good day. It is a good day. It was my day off. Pretty sure it's my day off. Okay, it's Saturday. Yes, it was my day off. Okay, wait a minute. I have a day off today? Yes, it's Saturday. Okay, I have my day off. You know, I'm just relaxed a bit. I did a little bit of work on the next video. I actually finished writing the script for that. I'm going to be trying to get the B-roll footage here soon, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, otherwise, bud, yes, I am having a good day. I hope you're having a fantastic day as well. Ah, okay, now it makes sense. I have a hard time understanding it until someone actively says the thing. I appreciate the grace and the explanation. Oh yeah, anytime, bud. I would say, like, from my experience, GU is a pretty easy game, with the exception of a few things in Volume 3, maybe Volume 2, but for the most part, if your level's high enough, you're going to be able to get through it just fine. But, you know, hey, it's always good to have the alchemy in mind. And also, I forgot to mention, like, it also, like, the upgrade system also applies for accessories, although it's maybe not as important, because I think with accessories, it increases, like, certain elemental affinity, I guess you could say. Like, all elements, like, +1, +2, +3, +5. When we're on the break, when we are going to break, I'll take a look in Maka News. Actually, no, I don't even have access to the alchemy. Wait a minute, do I? Hang on. Okay, I don't think I have I don't think I have access to the alchemy shop because I need to go with Pi and Kun to defeat the Elder Tree, but I can't do the Elder Tree because that'll give me experience, so I don't even have the alchemy shop to actually show you. So, I would say with the accessories, I'm not entirely too sure, as I have never actually upgraded accessories, but I think it gives you much more elemental affinity, like water, fire, etc., but it's for all elements, not just one. So maybe if someone else knows that, maybe they could correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. And there is exception to alchemy as well, Oboro. Like in Volume 3, I don't know how far you are, so I'm not going to spoil too much, but there is an extra layer mechanic called cheat codes. Like, you will find them out into the world, and then you can use those to upgrade 5-star gear. Now, typically 5-star gear cannot be upgraded. Like, for example, I'm trying to find an example without doing too much spoilers. I don't know how far you are in the game, but basically there is some armor that is like so rare that there's only like one-of-a-kind copy, and you can't upgrade it. But with cheat codes, you'll be able to do, just like I explained with alchemy, but with this extra resource, you know, the cheat codes. And you'll be able to upgrade, you know, that legendary item, I'm just going to call it, to godlike status. So, doing extra damage with a, like, weapon that is already powerful, good. I mean, you got an armor that can reduce damage, you're just reducing it even more. Like, it is so nice. Like, the alchemy system is a nice addition. Is it necessary? I don't think it is necessary, but it is good for those who are struggling and just want to have just like a little bit more damage or a little bit more damage reduction. Also, when it comes to this game, if you are struggling with something, there is a retry for this game. Like, unlike in the original PS2 version, in this version there is a retry option, and when you retry, not only do you get I think you get more, I don't think you get HP and SP, but you get better stats. Like, your stats increase, I think, like 10% or something like that. And it stacks too, so the more you're struggling with a boss, you just keep gaining that 10% boost. Like, for example, if you, like, say, die 5 times to a particularly hard boss, you'll have like 50% like extra, you know, attack, defense, you know, that sort of thing. And so there will be no instance in where you'll be struggling with certain bosses. I know I keep saying like certain bosses. I mostly do that just to avoid spoilers, but there's other mechanics, like other types of battles that I don't think, no, I'm not entirely too sure about it. I don't think stats are effective in a certain type of battle. So keep that in mind for when you are going through the game. But yes, like when it comes to this game, you have so much resource. I think the only thing that is a bit lacking is that magic. Now, obviously magic is very powerful in this game. Your party members do a lot of damage with it. Haseo can learn some magic, but he is not tailored to it. And it is kind of a missed opportunity. I would have loved to be able to put some magic into skill trigger. Be like, oh hey, you know, you were able to break a certain opponent, and look at that, you know, you can bring Geki with magic. That would have been cool, but I don't know why they didn't do that. I mean, I think it was an unintentional flaw within the system. But still, yeah, like still, I mean, magic is still decent, although I would recommend just buying a whole bunch of one-use scrolls because they're instant, you know, they're instant cast versus something like learning the spell itself, because there's no animation when it comes to using a one-time use spell, but there is animation in terms of like casting it naturally. So I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just kind of like it just, yeah, I hope that's understandable. I really wish they would have given us a Amok collection of the Quadrilogy too. I think CC Corp, or I say CC Corp, I think CyberConnect knows. It's mostly Bandai. Bandai owns the IP to .hack, not CyberConnect. So, like, if they give the green light, then yes, they probably would be able to do something like that. There are other issues with an iMock remaster or even remake. Let's start with the remaster side. The game, those sets of games are from 2002, and they definitely do not have the source code for that anymore. Like, they just barely got some code for this game, and well, with Volume 4 specifically, they removed so many things from the base game because they just didn't have the functioning code for it. So I don't see them having like nearly a 20 to 23-year-old code, or 23, 24, 25-year-old code just randomly in one of their computers. Second off, like, if they are going to do that, they could take the Kingdom Hearts 1 route and just build it from the ground up. Now, I didn't know this until like recently, I think like a few months ago, but Kingdom Hearts 1, when they did their 1.5 remaster, they built Kingdom Hearts 1 up from the ground because they didn't have the source code. I didn't even notice that it wasn't even the same game as I played, but it was, you know, a very, very, very accurate recreation of Kingdom Hearts 1. So CyberConnect could do something like that. Will they build everything from the ground up once more? Like, pull in some of the audio clips and maybe do redubbing some voice acting and just have it up to par with like exactly the way it was in the original. I think that would work. But in terms of like an actual remaster, I don't think they have the resources for that. The remake, however, I know a lot of people have been asking. Yeah, you didn't know that about Kingdom Hearts 1? Yeah, I thought it was interesting too because it also makes sense. That game was also a 2002 release. And early PS2 games, like their source code, like let's just say like not a lot of modern computers or tools are tailored to that older code. So it makes sense that Square Enix had to build it from the ground up. And CyberConnect could do the same thing if they got the green light. But in terms of an actual iMock remake, like a from the scratch remake of iMock, I would be interested in seeing it. I would definitely love for them to incorporate like not just kind of like more connections between iMock and GU, since, you know, like now that GU and even Link is established, maybe add more material from those games to better connect them a little bit more. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to think what my ideal iMock remake would be. I want them to make it very similar to the original if they were to remake it. Maybe take the systems from GU. I know this is gonna sound strange, but dumb it down a little bit while also modernizing the controls, you know? So that way, when you're playing iMock, you can probably tell that this was an R1 version of the world versus the world R2, you know what I mean? Like, stylistically, gameplay-wise, make it similar to GU, but just not enough to make it seem like iMock is the superior... like, in universe. I know I'm kind of explaining it a little bit weird, but like when you're going from like iMock to GU, you definitely see a clear jump in quality. I wouldn't want iMock to be like so good that it wouldn't make much sense, like story wise. Like, oh yeah, man, this iMock was already great. Why isn't GU like this? And honestly, GU remake, I don't think GU needs a remake. I think this game is good enough as it is. While there are some things that they could fix, maybe take things from the manga, or perhaps take some source material from like their other media and just kind of like twist it around. I think GU holds up very well, like unlike iMock, which, don't get me wrong, I like iMock. I think it's a decent game, but there's a lot wrong with that game, and let me tell you, I've already done a couple videos and a little bit of my frustrations with iMock, but it's still fun, you know, whereas GU, it is a good experience to go through if you're enjoying the story, and the gameplay is pretty decent too. I mean, look, I know from what you guys are seeing here, GU doesn't seem like a very exciting game, especially since, you know, I'm just fighting goblins over and over, but... like, there's so many things. Like, for example, maybe just go ahead and do this. Sword Dance. You got, like, abilities that, like, I only pressed 2 buttons. You know, I didn't have to go into a menu, select it, wait for the animation to play. It was just like that. You know, I was able to do the skill almost instantly. And just, like, that quality of life change, it make this much better, like, mechanically than iMock. But I would love for them to make a system very similar to this for a potential iMock remake, you know? Like, tailor it to the original design, but make it so that way it connects with, you know, the other games, you know? I hope I'm explaining it the best I can, you know, but when it comes to, like, these games really do need more love, you know? Like, there's a lot of people seem to think Dot Hack is for the most part a dead franchise, and I can kind of see why some people would think that. I mean, there's still new material sorta being released in Japan. They're just not coming over here to the States for one reason or another, you know? And it's just very weird that like, for example, like the birthday designs for some of the GU cast, they look amazing, and that just kind of gets me interested in seeing what is going on in Japan. Is something cooking at CyberConnect? Are we getting some new Dot Hack stuff, like actual games, you know, in the process? I don't know. I keep seeing these things from CyberConnect. They're promoting all this merchandise, and kind of leads me to believe that like something's going on over at CyberConnect, and I'm hoping, like, seeing how CyberConnect is celebrating their 30th anniversary next year, that they release maybe some trailers this year to hype all of this up. Like, not just for Dot Hack, but all their franchises. Do you play any fan-translated games? Yes, I have played Dot Hack Link, you know, using Kaze Trigger's fan translation. Honestly, since it's 100% finished now, I highly recommend it. It helps so much trying to go through that game and help understand a little bit what's going on over there. Publisher woes, ongoing publisher woes, in-universe-wise. Blame it on Mama for being so online. Post-GU. Yeah, Mama... I gotta say, like, in terms of Link's problems, don't get me wrong, as a game, I found a much better appreciation for it. But in terms of the story... Oh, you love Link? Oh, awesome. Yeah. So, Oboro, you probably, you know, you'll probably agree a little bit with me when I say the gameplay. I do like Link's gameplay, you know. It's a little goofy, but I do like the gameplay loop that they got. While the areas are smaller, the combat just feels so good, you know. I just love how fast it is. Hey, Darkness, sorry if I'm late. I was busy editing my videos. Oh, you're fine, but you are just in time. Welcome. We're just talking about Dot Hack and the various games. I think I was about to go on a rant about .hack Link, about how I did enjoy Link. I am enjoying Link now better than I did when I initially played it, but the story is all over the place. Like, the best way I could describe it, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, I think there's like 3, right? I could be wrong. I have to take a look at the credits when I finish it, but I think there's like 3 writers for this game. Like, each of them like from the main, like, people who have made like the majority of the series, and it just seemed, I don't know. Like, I like the idea of going back to past eras in a sort of like anthology title. That's what Link is. It's an anthology title, a love letter to the series by going through all of the events that has transpired up until Link. But at the same time, I kind of there's already some contradictions that I'm seeing with Link, like the fact that Frugal has data drain, or at least a data drain like ability. I find kind of strange. Yeah, like Titan said, Mama. I think. Why does Mama exist? I mean, it was just fine when CyberConnect was just being a corporate, just being the corporate villains, that they are the true villains. We don't need a secret society that is trying to prevent the world's extinction. You know, we don't need any of that. But that's just me. So, Oboro, you said you love Link? Please tell me what do you like about Link? Do you enjoy the story or the gameplay? I would love to hear what you have to say. You know, because like I'm finding new appreciation for it. How many writers do they have on a game dev team? That would depend on the studio, I would say. Like I know like there's like when there's one writer, you have a clear vision. When there's 2 writers, you kind of like have like, you know, maybe a little bit of conflicting ideas, but you know, you can like have a lot of teamwork. But when you have any more, like 3 or more writers, it gets a little bit messy because everyone has their own vision, own ideas of how they want the story, and then it gets a little messy. But that's just kind of from my experience, you know, just seeing like various games and like over the years. Again, I might just be talking out my ass with this, but you know, for me, too many cooks in the kitchen is not a good way to write a story. Like, you need to have like a focused narrative or like a focused idea with your team to just kind of build that vision up. But when you have like 3 different writers saying 3 different things and 3 different ways of going about the story, it gets all over the place, you know. Whew. I can't breathe. Talking wears me out because I'm talking a mile a minute. But yeah, I will say, like I said, I am getting a newfound appreciation for Link, because what I love about Link is the fact that you could bring like not multiple players obviously, but like multiple characters from the various eras of .hack. I just love. Let's see, what characters do I have currently in my playthrough? I've been playing a little bit offline too, just to remember how it goes, and I really enjoy the special attack animations, like how each of them have like their own personality. In fact, I even made a video, you know, talking about .hack Link, and honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, yes, the writing's not, honestly, for me, it's not very good, but the gameplay is what brought me back, you know? Just, like, the progression, and, like, the joke weapons. I love the joke weapons in Link. Like having Mimiru wield a banana, or, just kind of, like, having, just, like, all these accessories that you could have on Tokyo. I think that's a really nice touch. Mimiru is amazing, and Mimiru is amazing, you know? And just kind of like, and I especially love the new X forms for each character, and like, my god, they just look so good, with the exception of Tokyo. What, like, there's just so many good X form designs, but Tokyo looks like a unicorn, a time-wielding unicorn. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, guys. If you guys like Tokyo, more power to you. That's awesome. I'm happy for you, but I think Tokyo's design for this X form looks a little goofy. I mean, that kind of makes sense. He's a goofy character, but every party member is having an X form is far from Far from vile in concept. Oh yeah, I didn't say it was a vile. I didn't say that the X forms were vile. I think his X form is a bit goofy. Tokyo in Link is cool. Tokyo later is amazing. Okay, that's awesome. Like, Titan, I'm glad you can enjoy something that I find goofy because, you know, hey, we all got our different tastes, you know? Do you think any other company will try to make a successor to Dot Hack? Or I think now, I could be wrong. Do not quote me on this, but I remember going through Dot Hack Network's Discord, and I think Avronius was posting something about how Bandai was encouraging other companies to use their IPs, and the fact that Dot Hack is in that list. Funny enough, I'm kind of hoping that Bandai is going to allow other companies to work on the Dot Hack property. Just imagine, like, someone like Larian making a Infinite Generation-esque, you know, Dot Hack game. Or maybe even FromSoft making a Dot Hack game based off of the world, you know? Hydrate. Yes, I shall hydrate. I've got myself some tea. I got my tea. But yeah, it's just kind of like, I think like even CyberConnect themselves are already introducing like references to Dot Hack in their what's it called, the Fuga series. I'm pretty sure like one of you guys have recommended that series to me. I never got around to it because mostly I've just been busy with other stuff. But I heard that game has a lot of Dot Hack references in it. So even CyberConnect wants to make a Dot Hack game. But let's see. Adi Shankar, I'm gonna butcher these names. Adi Shankar, I'm just gonna say that person. Productions or Chef Studios get involved with Dot Hack Gwen. I don't know that studio, but I am going to assume it's a good company, a good video game company. But what was I saying? Oh yes, like I like the idea of other studios kind of like taking the Dot Hack property and just kind of like making it their own, you know, with certain exceptions. I don't want to see EA or Activision try to make a Dot Hack game. No, can you imagine them trying to like loot box their way into Dot Hack? It just kind of like it just doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, EA is one of those companies that they'll sometimes make good games, but then the majority of the time they'll find a way to nickel and dime you. You know? What was the most annoying Avatar fight in the GU trilogy? I'll go first. Ovan. I would say sorta kinda. I can see where you would say like that would be annoying. Let me see. I'm trying to think, like, what would be difficult for me if, like, in this game? I think my most annoying type of battle I remember when I was playing through this game had to be, I think it was Fidel. Fidel just kept teleporting around. You can hardly hit him, and just kind of like, it was just more like, oh yeah, it wasn't a difficult battle, but he just kept teleporting away. LMAO, EA making Dot Hack, God statues, $1 per chest opening. Oh, you want to get to 150? Pay $29.99, skip the line, you know? Oh, God. I can already see that now. Oh, man. Hey, you want the black armor? Well, we just have, luckily for you, you can open our Dot Hack box, you know? Special loot boxes in which you have the chance of getting this unique item. You can, who needs to play the game where you could just give EA money, you know? Oh, you want to beat Goblin Tag? Oh, buy the Demon Safe shoes, buy the Demon Safe shoes for $15.99. Oh, God. I could already see, like, I want a good company to make a Dot Hack game. CyberConnect, ideally, but then again, Bandai has a history of not giving their dev teams enough time. We do not want the EA to develop a Dot Hack game. They're going to run it to the ground. Oh, absolutely. They would certainly run it to the ground. They're also making online only, even though it's a solo game. Oh yeah. And funny thing is, you know, like I could see other companies doing like something similar to what you're saying, Orbo. Like for example, I know that a lot of people hate Denuvo because it's an always online anti-piracy tool that just doesn't work. Do you imagine? Okay. Imagine a company like, let's just say Nintendo for instance, since the Switch 2 is going to be with Denuvo, you know, this faulty anti-piracy software that requires an online connection. Imagine they released a .hack game on that system where it requires Denuvo to always be online for that single player experience. God, if CyberConnect announces a .hack game for the Switch 2, I will be conflicted because I don't know whether or not I want. Like, don't get me wrong, I probably will end up buying a .hack game for the channel. Oh, you could bet that. You could bet my money on that. But at the same time, if a .hack game were to be announced for the Switch 2, I would be so conflicted because one, I don't want to spend $450 on a product that is more or less a. It is a step up from the Switch 1. But from what I am understanding, now take this with a grain of salt, this is just what I've been seeing online, but the Switch 1 has things like, you know, like, it's not even, like, how do I explain it? Like the Switch 2, like, when it comes to their Switch 1 titles, they're going to be emulated. They're not even going to be native to the system. And, like, also, it's just like the C button, their chat option is going to be paywalled. Like you need a subscription to do the online service. It's just messy, you know. Oh, whoa, Tyler, you catch yourself a wall there. Let me see if I can catch up with that. Yes, more, yeah, Tyler. It's just kind of like, I'm hoping, Titan, that we do get another .hack game soon. Like at least for the fans, you know, whether it be good or bad, I think we're all just going to appreciate like a new .hack in 2025, 2026, hopefully, you know. Let's see here. It's why Godfall had me punch in the air. Great game, but even solo, it's online required. Yeah, it's just kind of like a lot of these games are sadly being forced to be online when it's really unnecessary. And I think now with like games going to digital, like, or I say now, like the games have been going to digital for a while. But with games more or less migrating to a digital storefront and less games are being made physically, you know, I say that loosely because there are still physical games, but if what we're seeing with Nintendo is true and they're making it so that way their game carts are just keys to download it digitally, I think we're slowly going to transition further into the digital age where like there's no physical releases. It's like I said before that they're pushing for convenience rather than letting convenience be the choice. Exactly. And that's kind of a problem. And funny enough, you know, linking back to EA, I think Doug Bowser, I think that's his name, wasn't he a former EA executive? You know, marketing executive or something? The new CEO for Nintendo is an EA exec. No wonder the Switch 2 is having problems. I prefer to have both options on the table, physical and digital. Yes, I would agree too, yes, because more options are better for the consumer, you know? Does Bandai Namco want to make people mad and piss off the European Union? I don't know. I should hope not. I honestly sure hope not. Like, going back to like the .hack thing again, it's just I really hope we do hear something about .hack here this year because like I said, Bandai's celebrating their CyberConnect's celebrating their 30th anniversary, and like the last major thing we've got of .hack is this game. Like, we don't have a port over here for Versus. We don't have a English port for Link. You know, yes, we do have the English translation thanks to Kaze Trigger, but we don't have a Link port, like, for modern systems. We don't have, like, some of the OVAs, you know, translated to English, you know? Like, I think maybe some of the mangas still haven't been fully translated and sent over here. I know that some mangas released here in the States and other parts of the world, but It's just kind of like, it's weird. Am I the only one who thought the PlayStation 4 was the perfect system? I thought it was a very good system. I think that is when we kind of peaked graphically, I would say. Because through every major console generation, we just keep getting better and better with the graphics. You know, from the PS3 to the PS4, there's a huge difference in graphical and gameplay capabilities. But from 4 to 5, there's really not much difference. Yes, it looks a lot sharper, you know, for people who really want to see every single pixel and every single hair on someone's face. But I think for the most part, we have kind of hit that line where how do you get better from there? And I agree with you, Jay, that the PS4 and what is it, Xbox One? I think that's what it is. PS4 and Xbox One. I think we've hit that that good stopping, not stopping point, but we've hit the point where we're slowly plateauing. You know, like where do we go from here? Like, oh yeah, you know, is the PlayStation 6 going to have 16 times the detail, 16K, maybe 10,000 FPS? I don't know. Like, games are graphically getting better, but we're like, for the most part, we're getting less and less games, and they're getting more and more expensive to make, and which kind of boggles my mind because, yes, like a lot of these games do require a lot to work on. But we're also getting less and less games. Like, let's take a look at the PS5. There's not many PS5 games versus the PS4 that are ports or remakes, you know? And it's just kind of like, there's only a handful of PS5 games. And we're like, what, 5 years into the PS5's lifespan? Something like that? I'm probably wrong about that number, but the PS5 has been out for a while now. Yep, get over here. Get over here. Let's see. EA infected Wizards of the Coast 2. Yep, Hasbro alongside. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, all these executives that obviously have never played a video game in their life, or if they have, they've played maybe the Atari. They only want the money. Look, I know, shocker, a CEO wants all the money, but yeah, keep EA away from keep EA away from a lot of things, and it's just kind of like. It's really sad to see, like, a lot of these gaming companies that, you know, have built a reputation of building great games are now falling to the wayside. I mean, look at Activision. They keep getting blunder after blunder after blunder, you know, and they're like, their stock prices, I think, are now in the single digits. Like, they're on the verge of bankruptcy. I mean, there's also BioWare. Like, I used to love BioWare games, and I still play Dragon Age Origins every now and then, but their recent games have been a flop. Anthem, Mass Effect Andromeda, Dragon Age the Veilguard. All of these games, like, are just pretty bad. Like, from okay to just bad, you know? And they're getting worse and worse with each time. And I'm seeing like all these games that should be fun, that should be great to play and great to enjoy, just not really going through with it, you know? I would say let's go back to the good old days where games have so much more reasonable budgets and much more development time. I'm going to add on to that, DOJ. There's a lot of indie companies out there that obviously don't have the same budget or like time to make these games, but they're making superior games to a lot of these newer ones. They prefer artistic design and enjoyable gameplay rather than making everything hyper realistic or just making things like 100 hours long for the sake of being 100 hours long. Sometimes just a simple concept would be fine. I'm gonna use the example of Palworld. Palworld was not made not made in the same way as like other major games. I mean, they were a small development team. I mean, they're probably a lot larger now with the success they've had. But Pocket Pair was a small team. Like, they charged $30 for Palworld, and while it is still in early access, it's not fully done yet. They have 32 million players. That is insane for a game that's not even finished yet. It goes to show you that some games with a good budget, a good idea, and good gameplay loop can transcend just graphical fidelity, you know, or just like gimmicky things, you know. And I guess you could say like Power World does have a lot of gimmicks by literally taking anything and everything they can from other games, but they make it unique to them in a way. They're taking all these ideas and just kind of making it their own, and they're letting the player go, hey, you do what you want in this world. We're going to give you the tools you need to enjoy yourself. Like, what I love about Power World is the customization for the world. You can go in and increase the encounter rates, like, absurdly high. You can make the, like, and oh yeah, and most importantly, strong fandom. Absolutely. Like, a good game will spread like wildfire. If someone enjoys it, they're gonna tell their friends, and then their friends are gonna tell their friends. It is word of mouth, you know? Power World are at least codifiers to give us alpaca characters. Yes, Titan. And for context, over at Twitch, we have a very good guy by the name of Titan Alpaca. Yes, we do have alpacas in Power World now, but that's what I mean. It's just kind of like Power World communicates with its audience and asks, hey, what do you want to see? What is your favorite character? What is something that you want to see from us? They are transparent, like at least for the most part, with their community. I know that there is currently that lawsuit with Nintendo, which Nintendo, oh my god, they've just been on a warpath with lawsuits. They're turning into a law firm. I mean, they have that big lawsuit with Power World over patents, and all they want is like 32,000 or something like that, which is not a whole lot of money. But I think it's mostly just, hey, we're going to gather up all these patents as we can, and then we'll use it against Pocket Fair. And then, just recently, I think within the last couple of months, Nintendo tried to sue a Mexican grocery store over the name Super Mario. And guess what? They lost. Nintendo lost. So it's just kind of like they're spending all of their resources on these lawsuits and not on the games. I mean, it's just crazy to me, you know? The tariffs are making Switch 2's... Okay, I know. Are making the Switch 2's premature release date amplify price tags even more. I think that... Now, I don't want to get too much into the tariffs because it's a political thing, but I will say in terms of like the Switch 2, I could be wrong, but I think the tariffs are on a 90-day pause or something like that, with the exception of China. But because of course, they're going to try to tariff China. Like, my God, the whole tariff issue is just ridiculous. Again, I don't want to go too deep into it because that's politics, and we're not all about politics here, but it's like, it's kind of messing a lot of things up in terms of like gaming, you know? But there's a lot of miscommunication, I would say, involving the Switch 2 and like what is doing what, you know? They should tariff Activision too. I'm sure that's what's going to happen. I don't know. That's the problem. None of us really know much of anything because Nintendo's not transparent with its community. Because they hid the price of the Switch 2. They didn't even show it in the Direct. They hid the price of the Switch 2. Like, it only through, I think, like, reporters and, like, other YouTubers that actually found out this information about the Switch 2. And then people started to look into the Switch 2 and all of its different little components and whatnot. It's just kind of like, if Nintendo was transparent from the beginning, then there would not be as much, like, I don't want to say misinformation because, yes, there are some misinformation out there. Nintendo wouldn't be transparent if it was a glass factory. Oh no, they'll be throwing stones. Like, trust me, like, Nintendo has thrown so many stones that they no longer have a glass house. They just have diamond dust all over the ground, you know? Like, that's how much of a mess up that they've done over the years. And that's kind of the problem. Like, now, from what I am seeing, like, Nintendo has a lot of problems currently, and Doug Bowser does not want to hear it. Like, at least that's kind of the that's kind of what I am, feeling coming from his interviews. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna do variable pricing. We're going to charge games based off what we value them as. And I'll get into more of that as soon as we get back from a break. We've got about a minute or so before the breaks happen. So I'll kind of like leave you with this before we head on our 3-minute break. Yeah, Doug Bowser living up to the name. Absolutely. But I think to an extent, I kind of agree that like there are some games, like depending on what's there, that they should charge a certain amount. However, I will say, however, this is a slippery slope for companies. Because if Nintendo gets away with selling $80 to $90 games, other companies are going to take a look at that. And there's already talks of what's it called? Rockstar trying to sell GTA 6 for $100. That is a slippery slope as well. If these companies are allowed to benefit from increasing these prices so much, who's to say that Nintendo is not going to charge like the new Legend of Zelda game $100 or maybe $110 for the base game? So I'll leave you with that for now. We gotta go on a break, so we'll be right back after these messages. my friends, and we are back with .hack.gu. Let me go ahead and catch up on some of your messages. My backlog is at 1900. Holy crap. Yeah, that's a lot there, dude. I'm 100% okay with never buying another game if they increase it that much. Oh yeah, you are set for a long time then. Like, you are not gonna have any problem with finding a game to play. Wow, 1900 games. That is an accomplishment. I think I'll add on to like the idea. Yeah, it's just like, how do I go about this? I've seen a lot of discussion online, particularly Twitter, because Twitter is a cesspool, and I do like seeing the chaos there, not gonna lie. But I've seen people bring up, oh, video games used to be so much more expensive back in the day, accounting for inflation. Let's take into consideration that games back then were costed so much more to produce, and they actually gave you more. Let's take the N64 era, for example. You got a very nice box with the cartridge in it, you had a manual, and sometimes you even had the expansion pack to run certain games. Like, I think Donkey Kong 64 needed an expansion pack, and I think some of them came with it. Like, and not to mention, like, the games on there, like, didn't take as long to develop as some of these newer games, you know? Not to mention, like, going back to the whole pricing thing, yeah, like, back in the 90s and early 2000s, people had a lot more money than they did now. Like, nowadays, like, people can't even afford rent. Like, a lot of the times you need a roommate to help pay for your end of a apartment, or like you need like 2 jobs just to pay off your car. You know, like, no one has disposable income as often as they did back in. I'm not saying like the early 2000s or the 90s were like a walk in the park and just like didn't have any issues, but back then things were not as expensive as they were now. Even with video games, video gaming is a luxury. Hydrate! Here we go. Tea. Anyway, let's see. Twitter pre and post was the Fox News social media insta as they made kiwi farmers look like CNN. I do not know what any of that means, but I'm just going to nod my head and say yes. But just kind of like, games being $80, I mean, people were already just kind of anxious about spending $70 for a game, but $80 for a game? Like, especially if, like, we have another Scarlet and Violet thing where the game is unfinished, buggy. You're going to charge $80 for let's just say in this hypothetical, the new Pokemon game, like, let's just say ZA, absolute trash with so many bugs, so many glitches, like, kind of like Scarlet and Violet did. You're going to charge $80 for that. Is that your variable pricing? Like, hey, we're going to charge you more for less, or charge you more for an unpolished product? Where is the line drawn? You know? I mean, from what I'm seeing, ZA looks like a pretty fun game. It looks fun, but I am disappointed in a lot of ways of how it's presented. You know, like, and how, like, it just doesn't feel, like, it just doesn't look, it looks fun and it looks disappointing at the same time. I don't know how else to explain it. Digimon Survive would be better at this rate. I mean, yeah, like, the new Digimon game looks interesting enough. You know, I'm sure that would do fine, but with Doug Bowser saying they want variable pricing, in one aspect I get it, but another aspect of me thinks that this can be easily abused. Did you see that the upgrade packs do not include the DLC? Oh yeah, I saw that. That is ridiculous. Okay, let's take Tears of the Kingdom for instance, because I think that's one of the big talking points. Tears of the Kingdom, or Breath of the Wild, I don't know which one it was, but I know it was one of the Legend of Zelda games. Yeah, they do not include the DLC with the upgrade pack. Like, the game is 8 years old at this point. Like, I think Breath of the Wild is 8 years old. I think Tears is like 4-ish, like 3, 4, something like that. But no DLC for them. no DLC, but they're still gonna charge you $70 and an extra like 10 or 20 for the upgrade pack. But if you buy the Nintendo subscription, you know, with everything there, you know, the catalog, you'll be able to get the upgrade packs for free. Why should you have to pay extra for the upgrades? Like, isn't the point of buying a new, better system is to experience the game in that system? And also, like, the Switch 1 games, not every Switch 1 game is going to be compatible with the Switch 2 from what I'm hearing. You know, like, if this is true, this is not going to be worth the price. Switch 1 games are going to be emulated. It's not native to the system. It's going to be emulated. And only a certain amount of games are going to be able to be played on the Switch 2. Why can't they just, you know, take time to have it be native? They didn't have an issue with the migration between DS to 3DS, or like the Game Boy to Game Boy Color. Well, I mean, technically they're the same thing, but you know, regardless, you know. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling. Yeah, let's see. Have you ever played Digimon Cyber Sleuth? I have. I've enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna lie, I did get confused as to where to go, and I did drop it because of that. So, that's just me. But I'll probably pick it back up here, because I have it for the PS4. I'll probably pick up and play it again very soon. Titan, use it. Digimon Survive is not for the faint of heart. I can picture Ryu, Misaki, and Takumi Hino playing that in his spare times. Oh, absolutely. Especially Takumi, because, you know, he's a Digimon fan. Better question. Isn't that what special editions are supposed to be? Yes, special editions are supposed to be a collection of everything that the game came with. Like, hey, if you buy this special edition or special bundle, you get all the DLC plus maybe a free cosmetic, or maybe you get, I don't know, just kind of like this side game for free, kind of like they did with the Mario Luigi games, you know? I meant to say that it was a special edition supposed to be. Yeah, exactly. I know what you meant, DOJ. Like, it's supposed to be special. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a collection of everything that was released for that game, but for a much cheaper price, you know? Watch someone at Nintendo goof up and have some Yuzu files on the Switch emulator. You know, bro, you know, you've got a point there. Like, when the Switch 2 officially comes out, I'm pretty sure people will go through the Switch 2 and the data involved in that. And I would not be surprised if Nintendo actually end up using Yuzu files, because, now, again, someone correct me if I am wrong. Like, someone in the future maybe type in the comments if I'm wrong about it, but didn't Nintendo end up getting the rights to use Yuzu? Like, recently? Like, didn't they go through the effort to either trademark or copyright Yuzu on their own end since they won the lawsuit against them? I'm just saying, it is very suspicious that they went after Yuzu specifically. You know, maybe some other Switch emulators, I think Ryujinx as well, but they went after Switch 1 emulation. But then end up in this, you know, allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because we don't have the system yet, and these are just kind of what's floating around on the internet. If they are allegedly using Switch 1 emulation, that's gonna piss a lot of people off. So you went through the trouble of suing Yuzu, like, so you can use it in your own system. You took someone else's work, essentially, and decided that you didn't want to put the effort into your own system, so you just took someone else's work. That is scummy. Yuzu files? Oh yeah, what? I meant to say files. Did I say flies? Yeah. Yeah, I think I might have said flies for this one. Yeah, the Yuzu files, I meant Titan. If they were going to do that, why not make Switch 1 games compatible with Switch 2 100%? Yeah, see, thank you, Titan. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Because in other consoles past, they used to make it native to the system. Let's take the regular Nintendo DS, like the original Nintendo DS. It was backwards compatible with the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. There was a slot that was underneath the system where you could just, you know, insert your games underneath and you could play both DS and Nintendo DS. The 3DS is the same thing. You could play 3DS cartridges along with Nintendo DS cartridges. Why couldn't they take the extra time to make their Switch cards compatible with the Switch 2? That doesn't make any sort of sense unless they wanted to be lazy about it and just kind of, just wanted either they were lazy or they couldn't find a proper solution, which I'm gonna go with that, like, for now. Like, they couldn't find a proper way to convert it, but it just, like, all of this just seems like all of this effort that they're doing, like going after emulation, trying to shut everything down, trying to shut every one of their competitors, whether it be financial or not, down, is just really, it just disappoints me. Nintendo once saved the gaming industry. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right, NeoJ. The answer is, in fact, money. The answer is about money, but when you're already powerful enough, I mean, I think it's more than money in that case, Yeah, Nintendo has got, like, it's one of the big companies in Japan. I think it's like number 9 most wealthiest company in Japan or something like that. Like, top 9, top 10, like, wealthiest companies. Yes, I think money is a obvious answer, but I don't think it is the only answer, Because, like the old idiom goes, not all publicity is good publicity, Just imagine all the potential customers that you are pushing away by hiding information, by not being very transparent on certain features of your new console. Let's take the chat button, a specific button that is useless unless you pay a subscription. The C button on the Switch 2 will be useless unless you pay for game chat. What? They're pay one buttons on a K-controller on a controller now. It boggles my mind, because honestly, I shouldn't be too surprised, because I remember, like, I think it was like a couple years ago, I think it was an EA executive, funny enough, we're looping back around, where one executive said, oh yeah, we had this idea about charging gamers for each bullet that they shoot, taking like $1 out, oh, you want some bullets? Here you go, pay $1, like, in the middle of the game, or even ads in middle of games. I mean, just, not gonna lie, the chat system looks like Discord at home. Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if someone over at Nintendo be like, hey, Discord's doing moderately well. I mean, they have a subscription service. Why can't we do better? I would not be too surprised there, Orboro. Because, like you said, it looks suspiciously similar to Discord. But at the same time, just look at the quality. Let's also look at the quality of their footage that they showed. Their screen share that they put in the presentation, chugged. Like, the quality of that just went down. And their excuse was, oh, we lowered the quality of our game chat feature, so we could focus on the performance of the games. What's the point of having that feature then if it's just going to be a lower quality than your competition? It's just like, this is how, that's how you do Discord worse. A tale as old as time. Either you die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Exactly. The screen share wasn't even getting FPS. It was frames. It was seconds per frame. Honestly, that's what it looked like in their new camera. Now, supposedly their new camera, the $50 camera, is going to be 1080p. But the footage they shown was maybe 480p, 20 frames a second. Something's a little fishy there, friends. Like, why didn't they just use the higher quality camera first and foremost? And second off, is that really what they wanted to show? Like, again, you wanted to show the gameplay, that's understandable, but it's 4 screen shares for a single device. There's just, like, I don't get it. I think the other issue I have with the Switch 2 that I'm worried about the fan inside the system itself, because unlike the Switch 1, there is going to be a fan in the Switch 2. But if this thing is going to be potentially, like, like in handheld, it's going to be 1080p, 60 frames, I think, and in dock, it's going to be up to 4K and 120 frames. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, I'm afraid that because of the high demand that this console is going to need to run at 4K 120 frames, I think there's going to be some overheating issues, especially with that one single fan that's there. Let's see. Switch 2 showcase? Nah, Switch 2 the Steam Deck showcase. Yeah, and it's funny because the Steam Deck is a handheld PC that can run a whole lot of Steam games, as well as being cheaper. It is $400 for, I think, like the base Steam Deck, you know? To be honest, I really don't care about game chat, but to be fair, I don't have any friends, so honestly, that is valid. And like, what is Nintendo like? I understand. Yeah, again, going back. Yeah, it's money, but I'm just thinking, what makes Nintendo think that they can charge so much for all these little things? Because let's think about this for a moment there. It is going to be about $450 for the console. Let's just say you got Mario Kart World. That's going to be an extra $50 if you bought the bundle. So that's $500. The Nintendo Switch Online is like, what, $5 if I remember? Maybe they lowered it. I think it's like $5. So let's just say $5 for instance. Then you got the emulated catalog with the N64, the I think there's like Super Nintendo games and now the GameCube games, like $15 a month for all of that. Okay, that's an extra $15 a month. So we're looking at about $520. Then you got the camera, which is $50. Okay, so we're at $570. Oh, but you know, if you want a replacement dock, that's an extra $100. So that is $670. My God, it's just like, it is racking up in price, and not many people are willing to spend that much money on a Switch 2, you know? Like, I was kind of skeptical with $400, but $450 is really pushing it. It's just like, it is just crazy what Nintendo is trying to do here. In terms of how I grade those backup plans, I'm a grade an F-. Yeah, F- indeed. Now, I would say, like, in terms of, like, the Switch 2, like, all their games, like, they've shown, I was very excited to see those games. I'm like, alright, yeah, this might be worth playing the Switch 2, you know? This actually might be interesting to see, but in terms of, what happened afterwards, it's just one mess after another. You know? They got comfortable with companies messing up all the time, so that's why most of their actions usually go under the... Exactly, you know, I think that is another thing, because a lot of people would say, oh yeah, Nintendo rarely makes mistakes. And they're like, okay, you know what, we can probably overlook this one thing. Scarlet and Violet, you know what, it was a bad release, you know, a bad initial release. We could probably excuse that, because, you know, Nintendo, they don't make too many mistakes. But they've been making a lot of mistakes here recently. And that's kind of the problem. Now the spotlight is on Nintendo. Like, I think it's been a long while since Nintendo has actually had a major spotlight on, like, their own games. Like I think the last big one was the Wii U. And look what happened. That was a failed console, and the former CEO actually went out of his way to get a pay cut so he can keep his employees, you know, employed. I don't see Doug Bowser doing something like that. I think Doug Bowser would double down on all of this stuff, and when, or if, I'm gonna say, I'm pretty sure the Switch 2 is gonna do well enough. Will it so as well as the Switch 1? Probably not. I do think that, like, Kovu, I'm just gonna say Kovu, because I don't know if YouTube is still checking for those, you know. If Kovu was, you know, was the one of the major factors as to why people bought a Switch, then, like, what does this Switch 2 have? Believe it or not, I did actually enjoy Scarlet. Scarlet is flawless. And you know what, NeoJ? That is awesome, my dude. If you find enjoyment in Scarlet and Violet, you continue to enjoy it, you know? And yeah, tell me, what do you enjoy about the games? You know? Like, if you enjoy something, regardless of what I say or what anyone else say, that's fine. like, we all have our tastes, and we can overlook, like, certain flaws, you know? I meant to say, believe it or not, I actually enjoyed Scarlet. I think I just needed more time. I think it just needed more time in the oven. Yeah, and you know what? That's fair. I think if Game Freak had maybe an extra year, yeah, it would have been at least decent enough as to not have so many issues. But that initial release, now, NeoJ, I'm not sure like what it is now. You could probably correct me since you know you do enjoy Scarlet, and for what it is, maybe it has gotten better, and if so, that's awesome. But the initial release, the initial release of that game, I have seen the footage, glitches phasing through the walls, you know, like characters walking through battles. The biggest reasons why I like Scarlet is the story. Okay, that's awesome, you know? And that is awesome to hear because Pokemon has been pretty good in terms of its narratives for their games. You know, I will say this, like the narratives for Pokemon are pretty good, you know? I just wish that, you know, like the quality around the game, the gameplay would be better. Like, I just like, now granted, I have not played Scarlet and Violet. I'm just going based off of the third person. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. Pokemon needs to innovate. And when I say innovate, I don't mean having these gimmicks like the Chandelure hats. I think like we need an actual evolution of the gameplay system, kind of like how ZA is doing. Mixing the traditional turn-based combat with active combat systems, you know? Just kind of like take that system, put them in the main games, and just evolve that, you know? Just kind of like add on to that instead of just, you know, making very little changes, you know? My biggest problem with the game is the frame rate. Oh, really? Like, how bad is the frame rate, Jay? Like, I heard, like, it could get into, like, the 15s, or, like, 10s, 15s. Is it really that bad? Because, ugh, God. Like, I can't imagine playing a game that is, like, I can handle 30 FPS just fine. I mean, I play Elden Ring on my PS4 all the time, and that's locked to 30. But just kind of like anything lower than that, it just doesn't feel good. And even with this game, I can kind of see it dip to 30 every now and then, but like it doesn't bother me all too much. But when a game dips to like 20 or even 15, I can't play that much because, oh god, it can really mess up a lot of things. Yeah, let me take a drink. Here we go. There you go. I'm trying to think. Now I've played on a wide variety of systems. I've played, you know, I started off with Game Boy Color, then I made my way to the N64. I got a PS2, followed by an Xbox, and then I went to PS4, and then now my preferred platform is the PC. I think PC is pretty much my go-to for gaming now, because not only does the game run pretty smoother than most consoles, but if I wanted to mod, I can mod the game as much as I like. If I wanted to go and, you know, like, I don't know, like, just play online, I don't need to pay a subscription service, you know, that sort of thing. For the most part, it's very smooth. When you get to like NPCs or towns, that's where it becomes noticeable. Yeah, and oh, speaking of the towns, why are there so many sandwich shops? I mean, why is there so many Subway sandwich shops in the game? I mean, but granted, you know, I can understand people like, I'm talking like just kind of in a universe perspective now, not necessarily for gameplay wise, just kind of like, there's a sandwich shop on every corner, but they can't afford buildings for what is it, for the Pokemon Hospital or the Pokemon Centers now. Hey, Artificial Devil, how's it going? Hope you're having a great day. I started off with Game Boy Color, N64, PS2. Also, I also like PC for convenience. That is true too. Yes, I love the convenience that PC gives me. If I wanted to play some of my old titles, I can just dump it into the computer, play it at a much higher resolution, much better frame rate, and just kind of like go with it. I can also add mods to my favorite games. I mean, one of the games I played recently on the channel was Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of Roses and the Redux mod. You can't really do that on a native console, so like there's just so many things you could do with a PC that you can't really do on console. And don't get me wrong, I still play on my PS4 every now and then. You know, sometimes I'll just sit on the couch, play some Elden Ring, you know, do something like that. But it's something about gaming on PC that just feels right, you know? It's just so, it's so nice. It's so wonderful. Let's see. Stream is promising. I really want to play Magic, Duelist of Roses is amazing, and one of them, I can't even read. And from one of those years when Yu-Gi-Oh! Creator was, you know, still lived, yeah, Kazuki Takahashi, you know, rest in peace. Like, the guy created a legendary card game, and was, like, I think he was an amazing dude, you know? Duelist of Rose, yes, I remember that game. I used to rent it from Hollywood Video. Nice, yeah, in fact, hey, we recently played Duelist of Roses. Hey, and if you, I would say, like, if you still have the game and dump it on PC, dump your copy on PC, look up the Redux mod. It makes the game so much harder, but it makes everything much more convenient. You'll gain more, you get your cards rank up much faster. The duels are like challenging, and you know, now if you like a good challenge, then yes. But if you don't, you probably stick to the original version. But Redux mod, look out for that artificial devil. You would not go back to the original game. I promise you that, because it just makes the game so much better. You know. And not to mention it rebalances a lot of things. It gives you new types of decks to play around with. Even better than the original already was. I would say if you want the authentic experience, go ahead and play the original version. But if you want a challenge, and if you want like to think about your strategies and just kind of like try out, like, and also some of the monsters even got some new abilities, some new things. They added new abilities to these monsters. So yes, if you want a new experience with Duels of Roses, check out the Redux mod. You know. It's because the newest sandwich mechanic. This way you can heal your Pokemon while giving different effects on the field. I mean, that's honestly, in concept, I like that. However, I did see a screenshot of the eating animation, if you want to call it that. PNG background. Your avatar going punch, punch, punch. Tasty. And just kind of awkwardly in front of the PNG. Tell me that's not just a fabricated screenshot that someone did, DOJ. Please tell me that's not an actual thing that happened in the game. I prefer cooking mechanic in Sword and Shield. You know what? I haven't seen too much of Sword and Shield, so I'm just gonna assume that is the better of the mechanics. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, you have a lot of messages. The .hack games were the ones I rented a bunch. I had the first and third game, so I beat the other two IMOC games via rental. Good. I mean, I'm glad you were able to beat IMOC. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still like playing through IMOC every now and then, but Outbreak and Quarantine, my god, the amount of virus cores you need to get to progress. The constant protected areas, my god. Just, I had myself an experience with IMOC. And I think, like, I even did, like my first stream here on YouTube. It's still archived here. I ended up, going through quarantine, trying to get all the virus cores, and despite trying my best to stay in the blue or green, I only got 20 out of the 40-some cores I needed to finish the game. I still have not finished IMOC because the grind was just that something. No, it's true. Oh no, the cooking thing's true. Oh god. Also, how terrifying would it be if Dark Knight arrived in the .hack universe? I do not know who that is, Titan. like writing is obnoxious. You can't get me to replay it more than once every 5 years. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, if there were to be a iMock remake, they really need to cut down on the virus cores. And I'm not sure if GU had a similar issue with... I thought at some point, like, GU had, like, a section of this game where you had to collect, like, various cores in order to unlock the gate to, I forgot what it was called, like, one of the Lost Grounds or something like that. But I could just be, like, just, what is it, Mandela? What is it called? The Mandela effect? You know, the one where you think something happened, but it actually didn't. You know, anyway. If they ever decide to remaster the game, you could, yeah, they could try to do something similar to what they did in GU. Specifically Volume 3. Yeah, they could do something like that. I agree with you. Like, I really want a iMock remake, specifically so that way we can give people, like, because people only know about iMock, like, at least new fans of the series, only know iMock probably through the terminal disc. And let's be real, I don't think many people are going to go out of their way to watch a video on the games that they missed. You know, a lot of people would want to try to go for the games that they missed, you know? Let's see, in terms of gameplay and replayability, the GU era games are more forgiving. Yes, I would say definitely, GU is very forgiving. Yeah, GU is easier to replay. It still gets repetitive if you're trying to 100% the books. Yeah, but I think, like, the books, like, I think the books are fine. Like, if you're just doing everything casually, you'll get most of the books up in no time. But, yeah, I do agree with you. It can be a little bit grindy to get those books to 100%, but really, what do you get out of it at the end? It's more like early game achievements, you know? That's kind of how I see it. It's just kind of like the early days of achievements, you know? Just like a catalog of what you have done, you know? So, but hey, at least you get money and, you know, you get rewatch the cutscenes, you know, from doing 100% of the book, so that's fun. That's awesome. And I think at some point, like, you can redo the avatar battles, if I remember correctly. I wish I had a hard mode. Yes, now, there's one thing about this version of the game, Last Recode. They have a cheat mode. Why didn't they have a glitch mode? And what I mean by glitch mode is that they made the game significantly harder with very limited resource, you know, or better yet, just make that version of the game, make the like theoretical glitch mode, the original version of .hack.gu, you know? It just, like, where the experience game was not as good, your movement is slower. I think that would be, interesting, you know, if they did that, but I don't know why they didn't. Let's see. Glitch 2 won't have achievements. I imagine if they just mailed you a book of Ryu. Honestly, I would make that into a special edition. Okay, Bandai, if you ever hear this, but if you ever do a .hack product, just make that into a special edition. Make a you know, a pseudo Ryu book to have the game inside. I think that would be fun. Yeah, let's see. It's not a huge issue, yeah. Oh, wait, I'm going the wrong way. It's not a huge issue, yeah, but you really don't mess out on stuff, and that makes the game fun. Locking cutscenes rewatch is pretty much more significant before YouTube. Yeah, I agree. I mean, also, I think you also get the first episode of .hack Roots. Roots is a terrible anime. God. I mean, hey, you know what? It's fine. You get the first episode of Roots and Volume 3 of GU, which I think is a neat little thing. Like, if you didn't have access to, you know, the internet or something, you could just watch the first episode of Roots via your copy of, you know, Redemption, which I think that's pretty cool, but at the same time, I just wish Roots were better. And as going back to the whole achievement thing, it's just kind of like, I do like the extra content that each volume provides, you know, with this game. Like, when it comes to something like, when it comes to something like the Abyss Quest, or maybe Goblin Tag. Now, I enjoy this version's of Goblin Tag versus the iMock one. I mean, it was a little bit easy, like, initially, but yeah, Roots is bad. Sign was a bit slow at times, but I did what I was trying to do. It seemed like it had the idea, but it was actually supposed to be about. Yeah, it had no idea what it was supposed to be about. I think it was just bad communication on all fronts in regards to the route. One team was doing one thing, another team was doing another, and they just weren't talking to each other about consistency, you know? It'd be funny if they name one of the hard modes item mode. Oh, that's a much better name. I love the idea of an item mode. Just like make it significantly harder. Maybe you glitch out if you do. Oh, well, what was that? Okay, I don't know how I did that. See, I read the version of Legend and it was okay. Yeah, Legend of the Twilight Bracelet. I have not seen anything of that just yet. I think I might, because I was thinking, I'm thinking through my backlog of video ideas that I want to make. Like, I think Legend of the Twilight Bracelet, or at least something similar to it, is like one of the topics I want to go over for the channel, but I don't know like what video I would make of it. Not to mention, I'm currently making a video about Haseo as a character, so it's probably going to have to be put on the shelf for the time being. But you know, I think I read a little bit of .xl, like I think that's what it's called, the manga. It was about that one girl, what's her name? God, she's an edge punisher in the World War II. I can't remember what her name was, but .xl is amazing. Yeah, it is amazing. Midori. Yep, that's her name, Midori. Let's see. I know this is going to be a wild idea, but for item mode, what if there was a corruption meter on the game? Interesting. Kind of like IMOC in a way, but you know, maybe not corrupt. We're getting somewhere with this, NeoJ. We're getting somewhere. Maybe like through constant use of because it's kind of hard to do that, because without data drain early on, you can't really have any sort of infection rating and corruption meter. How would that go about it? I mean, unless you tie it to the avatar at some point, then that's going to be an interesting idea, though. That's going to be interesting. That's to think. If I only had a brain. Haseo, more accurately Haseo's player, yeah, Ryu Misaki, has a distinct advantage of being a major character in Sign and also a protagonist of the GU games. He had a lot of space to grow. Oh, absolutely. Yes, I would say the issue with, well, not really issue, but it's just kind of like, but with Ryu Misaki, like between him waking up from his coma and the beginning of GU, he was never really told about any of the events that happened to Sign. And at least according to what we got, like officially, his friends told him about the World War II. And that's how he got back into the world. Oh, hey, yeah, a couple friends of mine said, hey, the world was great, you know? So it is kind of funny that, hey, you know, his parents tried so hard to keep the knowledge of the world away from him, only for his friends to be like, oh, hey, you know, we played this game, you know, why don't you play it as well? God, and yeah, he did do a lot of growing in this game in particular. Not this one game, but the trilogy, .hack trilogy. Like, he has done a lot of growing over the years. Let's see. Sora makes it so much sense if you realize that he was a literal child. Not a pervert, just an oddball who doesn't know how to connect with people. Oh, absolutely. Like, Sora, he just PK'd because it was fun. He did what he did because it's a game to him. I was watching this with, like, .hack Sign with Okami, I think, like, a year or so. Okami is my co-host that occasionally comes on and plays games with us. And, well, the one thing that we pointed out is that Signs did a really good job of but just emphasizing that Sora is a kid. Like, he acts like a kid would act. Oh yes, I'm just PKing you because it's fun. Give me your member address. I want to continue PKing you. And just, hey, you know? Would it be allowed to recommend a book series? Like 50k key cards? Well, it's only for games, Titan. If you're going to redeem like the 50k one for The game, it is only for games, not for reading. You know, maybe at some point I'll probably put it as a free stream Friday suggestion if the council of mods agree with it. So it's not just me you have to go through. You have to go through the council of mods at our Discord. But I don't go bugging them about it. You know, just I have the final say whether or not we do anything on this channel. But I would say if you have a game, you know, that you want us to play like you did before, yes, go ahead and hit that 50,000. We'll play it on stream, you know. Let's see. Ryu Masaki was a kid, a wild child in some ways, like dealing with a unruly Dante. Let's see. Dante was a kid in Devil May Cry. Yeah, there's a book series I definitely recommend to. Yeah, what's it called? You know, I'll take a look at it just to see if I'll be interested in it. And you know, that's another game I want to try to get into. Well, I mean, not get into, Devil May Cry. I've tried recently, like, to play Devil May Cry 3, but my hand, like I broke my wrist when I was younger, so I can't play too many, like, intense games. Otherwise, my arm's gonna kind of, like, the nerves of my arm is just gonna mess things up a little bit. I tried playing Devil May Cry 3. I couldn't even get past the tutorial because my hand hurts so much. It's definitely tied to the avatar, considering that you really don't get your avatar until near the game. Okay, yeah, you know what? That's fair. You know, that makes sense, you know? Middle of Volume 1, you get that, and then the meter gets more complex, maybe more, you know, kind of like a random effect, kind of like how IMOC did. I like the idea, NeoJ. The fact that item mode, abusing the avatar will end up, you know, giving you some consequences, kind of like in the story. Gosh, I remember original DMC on the PS2. It was after a time where my mom was always strict about age ratings, so I was 18 before I was allowed. Yeah, my parents were a little bit, I don't want to say that they bought me like Grand Theft Auto or anything like that, but they're like, okay, you know what, let's take a look at the game, let's see if it's appropriate for you, and just, yeah, you can go ahead and buy it. Oh no, this is just too young. They were okay with some games. But yeah, Devil May Cry, I've only ever played Devil May Cry 3, and that was when, before my hand injury, I could just play Devil May Cry, you know, just fine, but for whatever reason, I cannot get past the tutorial without my hand tensing up. Even now, as I'm doing this, like, I have to rest my hand on my leg in order to, you know, not get it too, not let it be tensed up too much. My parents didn't mind rated R movies once I hit high school, but my mom was very strict about games. Her reasoning was that doing bad things are different than watching them. I mean, yes, I am shooting a gun with a controller. I am slaying demons with a sword. Be it this. This is how you slay swords. Let's say swords. This is how you slay demons. Yes, I am going to go. Yes, I am going to go on a crusade, mother. I am going to take this wooden sword, and I'm just going to go fight. Yes, killing swords. And let's kill all the swords. I mean, look, to an extent, I get why your mother did that. They didn't. I don't think. No, I'm not going to say like exactly this is the reason, but from my understanding, like a lot of parents, like with that same mindset, they don't want their children to emulate what they see when playing these games, you know? So that's probably why. But you know, you seem like a very mature guy, so I don't think you would have had any sort of issue trying to replicate killing a sword. Kill all the swords! Dun, dun, dun. When I got my first PS2 game, it was Kingdom Hearts, and it was rated E for yeah, fantasy violence. She cheered out loud. She cheered out loud in a store. Yeah, violence forever. Okay, that's actually kind of funny, dude. I like that. Your mom seems like, okay, you know what? No. You know, you're going to do bad things for playing this rated R game, but yeah, let's have violence for everyone. Also, let's see. Oh, sorry, expanding a bit more the item mode. If you're able to find item in a dungeon, not only will it cleanse your corruption meter, but it also gives you a lot of fire scores. That's interesting. I like that. I think that would be a very fun thing to go about. And I think the one thing when it comes to like a hard mode for this game is that since the balance of the game is more tailored towards levels and level progression, it is really hard to just conjure up a sort of difficulty with it, because I don't know, like everything is tied to, not everything, but just the majority of this game's mechanics is tied to your level. How much damage you do, how much damage you take, it's all tied to the level. And that's, I could be wrong, but it just seems that way. Because look at this, I am about, I'm 21 levels higher than this goblin, or these swords. And I'm doing about 2 to 3,000 damage. It's definitely tied to the level. You know, not just with my current strength or whatever, it's most definitely level plus my strength or whatever, you know? Whew. Oh my goodness, I am talking a mile a minute, but yeah, I am enjoying myself. I hope all of you watching at home, you know, are enjoying yourselves. You're doing all the good things. But yeah, let's see. Going back to the PS2 comments. Yeah, I mostly just stuck with rated E and rated T games, with a couple of rated M games every now and then. Let's see. I did play God of War, like the original God of War. Those were fun. I really had to convince my parents with that one. I'm about to re-download this to my Steam Deck. Heck yeah! Dot hack on the go. Let's go. Honestly, I think you'll have a fun time. Honestly, I've never actually played this on like a handheld. You know, I know that they have a Switch version of this game, like ported. Although I'm not sure if that is a cloud or a just straight up download. If it's a cloud, I might not get it for my Switch. But, you know, if it's native, you know, quote unquote, that might actually end up. I'm actually interested in seeing how this game will play in a portable like mode. Oh, the OG God of War was so badass. Like, as a team, that would seem like the coolest thing in the world when I watched the older boys play it. Yeah, I mean, like, the original God of War games were just so fun. Like, this hack and slash pseudo puzzle game was very interesting to me. I think my favorite of the abilities that you gained throughout, I guess, the original trilogy was, I am going to butcher these names, but the gauntlet that turned into a shield when you could just repel magic. I think you got that in God of War 2 after defeating a Cerberus enemy, if I recall. Because I'm pretty sure it was God of War 2. I know the newer God of War games still have that. I think it was called the Aegis or something like that. It is just like a little shield, you know, a shield that you could just repel magic attacks with. I've always loved that ability. You know, the Blades of Chaos are pretty cool too. You know, they're pretty iconic. I say if I have to go for the original God of War 1, I would say the Artemis Blade was also pretty fun. I like using large swords in games. You know, just being able to just mow down everything. Oddly enough, I do not use great swords in games like Monster Hunter. I don't know why. Like in Monster Hunter, it just, you know, it feels a little bit slow to me. But in a game like this, heck yeah, I'm just gonna swing this great sword all over the place. I'm gonna create shockwaves, and I'm going to, you know, smash everything to bits. You know, it's so good. I love when enemies have special death blow animations. Yes, exactly. Oh man, it just makes the game so much more, like, immersive, you know? Am I the only one who absolutely appreciates the GU models? Oh no, you're not the only one. Hey, I get a drink. Drink, Jacob, thank you. No. But I agree with you, NeoJ. Like, the game, in terms of its presentation, really holds up. I mean, just take a look at Haseo's model here. This looks really good. This, honestly, for PS2, this looks good. And let's see, graphically, yes, it is a PS2 game. But you can suspend your disbelief when you think of it in the context of, this is an MMO, like an MMO, you know? So much detail crammed into the texture. Yeah, just look at Makanu. Just look at this place. There's just so much detail in everything, like from the character models to the I mean, yeah, those guys are literally the same model, just different colored, but you know, still, like, everything has so much, like you said, so much detail crammed into the like character models themselves, and you can really tell a lot about a character from their character design. Haseo is, angsty teen, just likes doing things himself. He's always angry, at least throughout these early times, and his character design reflects that. He is wearing all black with hints of red. Red is the color of aggression, and he's got a little bit of white in terms of his hair, meaning that he's got a little bit of goodness in him. Like, it definitely creates that different dynamic of him. Especially when he goes from his first form to his X form, like from wearing all black to just this white attire, showing his growth of it. Which is why I was kind of disappointed with the 5th form in Volume 4, where it returned to the black outfits. And don't get me wrong, it looks cool, but I kind of liked the idea that, his outfit reflected his growth, There's so much love in these games. Oh, absolutely. Like, no doubt about it. I mean, just these games have something unique about them, And I think one of the big things that make this game unique versus other games of its time is the keyword system. I have never seen any other game since this particular one use a keyword system like this. I mean, yes, there have been procedurally generated games. I'm going to use Minecraft, for instance, because they got a seed system where each world is different. This game does something similar where if you put in a certain key combination, you get a different area. Yes, they have like a same template and same kind of enemies. Like, there are different enemies, of course, but like, this game can give you different areas, different layouts of certain areas with different enemies, different items that you can get, even different rewards from the beast statue temples. And it creates that replayability. It is just so amazing to see such attention to detail in these games. And it feels like an MMO, Like, I can feel... Like, when I'm playing through this game in particular, I don't know why, but I get so many feelings of Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I am seeing a lot of similar designs between this game and Final Fantasy XIV. That's not to say that Final Fantasy XIV took ideas from .hack. They might have, they might not have. But I can't help but make those connections and seeing this, Let's see. And it depended on... Oh, hang on. I missed a couple of your messages. What is your favorite form of Haseo? I'll go first. X form. For me, I like the Terror of Death form. His 3rd form with the scythe and just kind of like the... It's kind of like the all-black sharpness of his outfit. It's like one of his more cooler designs. Although the smiley face on his pants, it's a little bit weird. Like, once you see it, you can't unsee the smiley face on his pants. And depending on what words you get, you either give you more loot or more enemies. Yes, exactly. Which is kind of like I'm getting tongue-tied. Which, in this game, I'm kind of disappointed that they give you so much more experience because it decentivizes you to go and check out the area words, And... give me one thing. I'm gonna scroll up so that way I can read your message. Let's see, what was your message? Okay, whenever I wanted to grind out some levels or for lower level party members to grind to max affection, I would set a random keyword and see what gets me. Yes, I like that too, so that way you just have a different experience every time, It is just one of those things where it just... There we go, I'm back in the game. It's just one of those things that makes the game a lot more enjoyable, where you can just click random, go to a different area, and it will be different each time. Like, not one area is the same. While they'll have similar tile sets, maybe some enemies, some items, it feels different. Each time you hit that random, it'll take you to a different area. And that feeling, just like the replayability in this, you could just go in there, just like, I hope you guys understand what I mean, because this feels, just feels like an MMO. I wonder if there's anyone who's finished every possible area in these games. Like, I'm sure there has, but I feel I don't think people have gone through each and every area, but I know in IMOC, people have did the math on how many areas there are. So in IMOC, I don't know the exact number per se, but it was something like 42,000 areas. And if we assume that we have the same number of keywords in this game as we did in IMOC, there's about 42,000 in this game as well. In this theoretical sense, you know? Only way to get new words is to go in forums, which basically gives you reasons to go offline sometimes. Exactly, and because the way it's laid out, it's laid out like an actual forum, you know? It's laid out like an actual desktop. It brings that immersion, you know? To be honest, I was just mix and match my own words. Yeah, don't worry, I do that all the time too. But hey guys, we are going to be going on a break here in a few seconds, so why don't we go ahead and take a nice little break, get yourself a drink and a snack, and we'll be right back after these messages. And we are back from break. Let's go ahead and take a look at what you said while I was away. Let's see. I love the message boards because... Okay, maybe try this again. I love the message boards because the writers actually understood what people like and they communicate online. Exactly. Almost to a scary degree because they are very accurate to how people speak online. Which I think is just kind of hilarious. If you just read through some of the board messages, people actually talk like that, funny enough. And like even some of the more like you know, quote unquote unrealistic ones, it's still believable in a sense that people actually say these kind of things, or at least would say these kind of things like years down the line on forums and whatnot. It's just very funny to see, and that just kind of brings so much immersion in these kind of games. Like the best part about this is that this game gives you so many aspects to its immersion that you actually believe that this is a world, no pun intended, to explore that is functioning just outside of the video game, the world, you know? Like, so many things are happening behind the scenes that we just don't see, and like, even the things we do see, you know? Like there's, like, for many people, when they play this game, they, at least from my experience, they typically don't go through the news section, but I think that's where some of the best parts about it is, because there's actual animated sections online, Jack, the news reports of the various things that are happening outside in the world, not in the world, but I'm just gonna say the world for the real life world, the world. So the fact that they give you an insight as to what's happening in the world is just so amazing to me, you know? Like, I especially like the M2D, and we're getting close to that kind of technology. We already have VR headsets, so it's only a matter of time before they get smaller, more portable, and we'll be able to see them, you know? New spoiling, who's the villain hours before? Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny, but I guess back then they're like, oh yeah, no one's gonna watch the news. No one's gonna see that this child is actually one of the main villains. What are you talking about? And then again, honestly, then going to those new things, I'm not going to spoil too much for those who probably have not played GU yet, but Ida, let's talk about Ida a little bit. I recently just made a video talking about Ida and what exactly it is. Now, keep in mind, I didn't include Volume 4 or any of the things that happened after GU, like Link or such, mostly because I wanted to focus on what we got in GU and the original trilogy, because that's its own closed narrative and not something that was released after the fact, you know? So, the way I see it, Ida is a neurological virus that happens when people interact with it via the VR headsets. It creates these sensory effects that project images in your mind that kind of tricks the brain into, I don't know how else to explain, but tricks the brain into thinking that you're paralyzed, or perhaps it stops functioning proper because it's trying to target something different. Like, for example, there is a character that actually becomes partially paralyzed after coming into contact with Ida and such, you know, like, granted, I can't even speak. But yeah, I love the news section and seeing the state of the real world was great, and getting a headscape of everyone living in the world. Yes, I do too. It's just kind of like, it makes everything feel real. And if they were ever going to make another Dot Hack game, they need to make it feel real. Just take inspiration from all corners of the common internet. Just to see how people actually talk, and well, I mean, I think, oh god, yeah, but online forums and communication has got a lot more, like, there are some good people out there and good communication, but let's just say places like Twitter is just a cesspool, and hey, I'm guilty for throwing words out there too, but it's a pretty toxic, it's probably more toxic now out there in the internet world than it was back in 2006. So I wonder if they're ever going to capture that essence too, if they ever make like a new Dot Hack game, like R3 or whatnot, you know? I'll be curious to see how they go about that. I have over 6,000 people blocked on Twitter. Oh no. Yeah, I luckily I haven't blocked anyone just yet because I have a smaller Twitter account. Not many people know I exist on there. And so like I can probably just kind of, you know, I don't have to interact with too many people. I will go out and throw my opinion out every now and then. Twitter is indeed a cesspit. Post 2022 owned. Kiwi Farms. You know, you keep bringing that up. Isn't that like Kiwi Farms? That sounds familiar. Isn't that one place where people just go, like it's a forum board where you talk about law cows, you know, or something like that? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not entirely too familiar. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that website. I just heard what it's about. Yeah, like I heard Kiwi Farms is a cesspool as well. So that's what I mean. It's just kind of like the internet has grown. There are good sections of the internet where people enjoy conversations and communication. And then you got places like Twitter, or sometimes even Reddit, where it's just like, oh, well, actually, you know, if they don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about because I am important on here. I've got 2 more followers. Oh god. Let's see, here I am being a little bit like that. Oh well, I'm having fun with it at this point. Reddit contains both the best and the worst, depending on which sub you're on. Yeah, I think the .hack subreddits are pretty well tamed, and you know, for the most part, I think I might have seen maybe 1 or 2, not toxic, but just kind of like, have you played these games before? Have you ever played this game before? But other than that, a lot of people on the .hack subreddit, I've been pretty chill, pretty open-minded with certain ideas. Twitter and Kiwi Farms clashing each other would be entertaining than corporate BS. Yeah. Yeah, that I would say. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, and yeah. What can I say? There are places on the internet. What can we do? We just do what we can. We just throw our opinions out there, you know. And like I said, hey, in regards to what, you know, I take in, I always encourage people, hey, if you have a different opinion of a certain subject than me, type it in the comments, type it in the chat, challenge my ideas, but just kind of like tell me your side of the story so that way I can think about this other side that I am not taking into account, because I do like communicating with you guys. I do like seeing like the different mindsets that each and every one of you bring to the table, and that's how good communication starts. Like we can build a narrative together, you know, and that's just amazing. Like I will say, like the internet and such, it does have its ups and downs. But I am very grateful that I can speak with you guys and just have like this honest communication and just kind of like have this entertaining way of doing this, because you guys are fairly mature and fairly, you know, responsible and all of that good stuff. You know, you guys keep everything entertaining. You guys give me much reason to do this, and I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by, saying hello, even if you only stop the one time. That's all I can appreciate, you know? Sometimes we won't be able to agree, but it's important to recognize when we're not going to change someone's mind and agree to disagree. That is 100% our Fisher Devil. You know, you are right on the money there. Yes, we're not always going to agree on stuff. We're going to be butting heads over this thing or that head. I mean, we might even, you know, argue back and forth of it, but, you know, like, we all have our opinions, we all have our mindsets, and we just do what we can, you know. If someone's gonna be up on that hill, be like, hi buddy, yeah, you can stay on that hill, I'm fine down here, that's perfectly okay. And you know, and that's just common courtesy, you know. Like, we can talk about the differences that like, the differences of opinions and whatnot. It doesn't really change like much. It's just like mincing words, you know. We're having honest communication without vulgarity, without any sort of nanny boo boos, your stinky poo poo heads. None of that. You know, we are not like that here. You know, I prefer open communication with you guys. If you guys have a sort of, if you guys don't agree with my opinions, that is okay. You know, I would prefer to hear your side, you know, just to see what things are going with, you know? Some people, I think, are bogged down in the belief that they can explain their point better than the other person. Hang on, let me just read these guys real quick, and I can read that proper. Okay, anyway. Some people, I think, get bogged down in the belief that they can explain their opinion better. The other person will come to agree with them, and sometimes that does happen, but you gotta recognize when a point is moot. Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like, I think a lot of people have got, like you said, gotten to the point where you have to win the argument. You have to be the one to, you know, have the final say, have the final aha. You need to have the final thing. And hey, I am guilty of that as well. You know, when someone is, you know, like spreading misinformation or just having something obviously wrong, you know, I can sometimes be stubborn at that. But I'm trying to get better at being like, okay, you know what? This conversation's not going anywhere. I'm just going to ignore it. You know, and especially since now I'm in my 30s, you know, and like I don't really have too much. Well, I know that's probably going to be kind of cliche to say, but I don't have too much breath to just argue all day with someone that I'm probably not going to beat at all, and they're probably just going to forget the entire conversation anyway. So, I once got a gold on Reddit from just saying, I didn't consider that point before. Maybe you're right. I'm sorry. And you know what? Which is sad, since this is how rare it must be. Yeah, it's just kind of like, I think people, I don't know what it is, you know? There are some people who just like to argue, and then there are some people that just want to be proven right, and then there's just people that, hey, you know, just, hey, I'm sorry, you know, they're just upfront about it. Hey, I didn't mean to start anything. I was just trying to ask a question, trying to do this and that. And honestly, that just shows that you've got some good character, devil. You know, despite being a devil by name, you're an angel by heart. That's all that matters. You know, that is all that matters. And the best thing we yeah, and I would say, to quote Gandalf the Grey, all we can do now is decide what to do with the time that is given to us. And that is probably one of the quotes that I kind of like keep with me, because we are living in a time where it's just like, not gonna lie, life is getting so much harder. Like, there's just so many things happening in the world. Why do we need to cause so much arguments amongst each other, you know? For trivial things at the end of the day. Again, I'm going to be guilty of this too. I argue over stupid things all the time. I also get things wrong all the time on this channel. I mean, I probably get things wrong in this very stream, but you know what? That is fine. You know? As long as we own up to our mistakes or things, maybe we look into like what we went wrong and, you know, just try to grow from it. That's all we can do, you know? That's the human nature. We're always growing. We are always learning, adapting, just trying to be the best selves that we can be, you know? And I believe it's the small acts of kindness that end up making things a lot better for everyone. Self, others. Well, the next time you have an opportunity to do a kindness, just do it. You know, even if you gain nothing out of it, just be like, hey, you know, I got you. I just, you know, wanted to do this good thing, you know? That is Claude's advice for the stream. That is Claude's advice for this stream. You know? Right, let me see if I can get this drink before the goblin fight. Sorta, kinda. The idea of someone knowing more than you is scary to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. Learning new things is good, absolutely. Like, we are constantly learning. Like, there's no one in the history of this world that has gone through life that learns absolutely nothing. Yes, there's going to be hard-headed people that prefer not to learn things, but even then, they're constantly taking in new information. They're constantly learning about something new. Like, for instance, you know, like when we're growing up, we are slowly adapting to the world around us, you know? We are like learning how to walk, learning how to talk, learning how to communicate. You know, learning is a constant thing, you know? And when we reject that need to learn, that is when we stop growing, you know? And I know that's kind of like, I know I'm kind of sounding a lot like a philosopher right now, but it is just, it's kind of true, you know? Like you said, learning things is good. When we learn things, we grow, and when we grow, it makes us a whole lot better, you know? And that's why I'm always pushing the idea that if you have a talent, if you have any sort of talent, but you feel like you're not good at it, just go for it. Just, all you gotta do is just go for it. You're going to fail. You're going to do all these different things. Let me just take my YouTube channel for example. I did not think I was going to get 500 subscribers at all in any lifetime. But then, you know, hey, I just recently hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, I want to say like maybe a month or two ago. And that's amazing. Like, a lot of you came by to the channel to support me and my visions and my speeches and my ways of going about things. And that's wonderful, you know? I can go back. Hey, thank you for the follow, buddy. Artificial Devil, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you. I think that's what I mean, you know? It's because of you guys that make me want to do this more, because I enjoy your company and the conversations that we have from this. And I can look back on my videos from like 3-4 years ago and I'll be like, oh god, that was shit. And then, you know, I can go back a year, I can go forward an extra year, you know, into my library. I can just go, oh man, that's not as shit, but it's still pretty bad. And then even with my most current videos, a year down the line, I could be like, I mean, that was pretty good, but I could have done better. And we approve, we keep on improving our craft. And it just starts with putting things out there. Seeing where the water takes you, you know? And that this has been my TED Talk. Nice. Made my TED Talk. I get that way with my writing. When I look at my older work, I cringe, but that just means I've learned more since I started. It's not a bad thing to have improved. Oh hey, what kind of writing do you do? Are you an author, or are you a scriptwriter? What kind of writing do you do? I'm actually getting into writing myself. Now, I write all of my scripts, whether it be for GUA and like my own personal things. I'm also like writing a book. Yes, I am also writing a book as well. Maybe not as well, I don't know. But I am writing a book as well, based off of my D&D campaign. You know, I'm working with a buddy of mine. I'm not sure if he's still in the chat, but you know, Tara. Tara is one of my best friends, and he's also my editor for one of my books that we're currently writing. It is called The Watchers of Eternity, Azure Neverland. I am looking forward to finishing that story because, oh boy, like we've got so much to tell in regards to Saphira and Elisa's story. And also, if you want to read the first chapter of that book, it's already in my Discord. You know, I'll probably post a pinned comment or something there so that way you can read it. But hey, you know, excuse me. I did a lot of fan fiction in the past, but even a bit more recently, I've been working on some original stuff, mostly poems. Awesome, I do. Have you ever thought of doing a YouTube channel, or at least like posting it online, like on a forum or whatnot? I mean, just to see what people think. Because honestly, if you have like any sort of writing talent, go ahead and put it out there. You know, see what people think. You know, and some people just like reading fan fictions. You know, like some of the I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but you know, there are some good examples of people making fan fictions and actually end up turning like the concepts into actual, you know, unique, you know, properties and whatnot. I'm trying to think of any good examples off the top of my head, but yeah, I would say, hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and make a YouTube channel, make a Twitter, whatever. Okay, maybe not Twitter. I mean, that's again cesspool. But yeah, just make any sort of social media account. Just throw it out there, you know. Or even if you like don't have any sort of fancy setup, just throw your work out there. I mean, you never know when someone might catch your poem and just be inspired. And that's the thing. Inspiration is a powerful thing to have. Because if you can inspire someone to be great, then that just means you have succeeded in your creative aspect and your creative, you know, creative design or creative works. You know, that's the word I'm looking for. Namco and Bandai, do not use that site to get fan input. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they say they prefer like emails and letters sent to them and Bandai in order to, or not, CyberConnect said, hey, send letters and emails to Bandai saying how much you want this series to continue, blah blah blah. And you know, I'm sure that at some point there will be. I'm hoping. We've all been saying this for so long, like, hey, a .hack game's around the corner. We're just crossing our fingers. But hey, if Okami can get a sequel, if all these other, if Onimusha can get a sequel, I am sure that .hack can get a sequel in the future too. You know, I am just waiting for that day. I am waiting for that day when, like, let's just say the Game Awards pops up, you know, and there's a trailer for a new .hack game. You know, I am going to be streaming that reaction or like making a video on that reaction because we are so. I'm crossing my fingers, friends. Let there be a new .hack game in 2026. I'm saying 26 realistically speaking, because if there's ever a time to release a .hack game, it would probably be for CyberConnect's 30th anniversary. I'm betting on that, you know? Just wait. You know, I'm sure that I know a lot of people have been saying, just wait, the .hack game's around the corner. But I genuinely feel that. I mean, just look at how much the .hack community has grown in the last few years. Now, I'm not going to take all the credit for the growth of the .hack community. I mean, that's, you know, everyone just, you know, ends up finding the channels. But like, in regards to my channel and everything, I am, like, my YouTube channel is all about the revival of .hack and all of its aspects. And from my initial video when I started doing .hack stuff to now, the community has doubled. Like, the .hack community has doubled from, like, 6,000 on Reddit to 14,000. It is amazing. As long as they don't mangle the existing lore again, I would enjoy a new game. Yeah, I mean, I think like what they could do is that they could just, let's see, did we ever get a World Art 3? I know we had the World Art X with Link, but was there ever a World Art 3? I think, what's it called? Like, Beyond the World, I think the OVA like was set in the World Art 3. Give us that. Give us that World Art 3 for the new .hack game and this theoretical .hack game. You know, keep all the classes, maybe add some new ones. You know, like fix up the gameplay. I would love to see that, you know? I think that would be a fun thing to set in. I think that would just be awesome. And guess what, guys? We just need 20 more experience. 20 more experience to level 25. Let's go. So we got 2 more dungeon runs of this, and then we'll be able to level up. 2 more dungeon runs. 2 more dungeon runs. Why did I put up 2 hands? 2 more dungeon runs, and then we'll be at the halfway mark to finishing this challenge. That's crazy to me. We have done this. We have done so many streams of this, and we're at the halfway mark. That is, whew. And then officially be halfway there. Yes, sir. I am looking forward to the day where I can proudly say, this is the last stream, well maybe not the last stream, but the last stream of this particular challenge. The last level up. I'll put in big bold letters. This is the last level up for this challenge. And just seeing that glorious level 50 there. And I'm hoping by then we do get more people get interested in the game, like .hackG, and be like, oh wait, what is this game? That, like, why is he trying so hard to get to level 50? You know what? I'm gonna check this game out. You know? Let's get more eyes on .hack. Let's get this challenge out there. Let's tell people about this. I tried telling people about this challenge, but you know, more and more people, you know, they're getting interested in it, you know? So you're going to do future volumes, like level 100 in volume 2? Yes, that is the idea. So for this first game, it's going to be level 1 through 50. For the second game, it's going to be 51 through 100. Now, I will explain why I'm doing it this way. Is that since we hit level 50 in this volume, I figured, and I did ask the community beforehand if it was okay, that when we start volume 2, we'll have levels 50 to 51 be our free level. Like, once we hit level 51, the challenge officially starts, meaning that we can progress the story up to a certain point, so that way we can benefit from, say, the speed boosting items, or perhaps even, if we're lucky enough, the scythe. Oh, I'm looking forward to the scythe that we'll be able to. Yes. So, once we start hitting 51, we'll come back to this dungeon with both, hopefully, the speed augments and the new weapons, and maybe even some new spells if we really want to. And then just go do this challenge again. And I can guarantee you, once we get the speed boosting items, like the 10% ones, I think for volume 2, and then, let's see, I think we could get upwards of 30% once we hit like the higher levels. But let's see, I think for like in the very beginning of that volume 2 challenge, we will only have a maximum of 20% speed boost, 20% speed boost plus I think an extra 25, I think it's like 25 for the speed talisman. So yes, that I think once we hit volumes 2 and 3, this challenge, level 25, let's go, 25, we are halfway done this, woo! Alright, let's finish up this dungeon, and then we'll call it a night. Oh my goodness. We need 25 more thousand experience. Less than 8,000 battles left. Or enemies, whichever one. I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to that, but I think it's like 8,000 battles, something like that, or 8,000 enemies. I don't know. But the point is, we're level 25 now. And honestly, doing the rest of the experience for this dungeon here means that's less we have to worry about next time we do this. And I do plan on doing volume 3 as well. So altogether, 150 levels in this one. Okay, it's technically 147, but let's just say for, you know, video's sake, you know, if I decide to do this as a full video, like as a recap, 150 levels in the first dungeon. And I can guarantee you, like, once we get those speed boost items, this is going to be like cut, like the time spent on this is going to cut in half. I can guarantee that. Because right now we're doing okay. Like, we're getting about 16 experience for every dungeon run that we do. And it takes us about, I want to say 4 minutes per, like 3 or 4 minutes per. So once we get the speed boosting items, we're going to be zooming through all this. And speed charms. We could go into town, pick up the speed charms. That's not going to take up too much time. Get at least a 25 to 40% speed boost. And just kind of go with it. We'll blaze through this dungeon once we hit volume 2. Alright. So, it was like, we did this for about 2 hours and 30 minutes, give or take. So let's take a look at our current time. Let's pop a save. Alright. Our current time is 36. Let me go to the, where is it? Somewhere around here. Here we go. Alright, so we'll get to the battles needed here in a bit. We need the time. Spirits needed. Alright, so our current time right now is, in fact, something. 36:15. 36 hours, 15 minutes, and 56 seconds. This is how much time we have spent doing this challenge so far. And the amount of experience we need, let's take a look. So right now, we are at 16 out of 1,000. So that is 984 experience. So, 25. So we need about 24,984 experience. Okay, let's see, where is it? There we go. 24,984 experience. There we go. That is the experience we need to do this. Now let's take this number and cut it by a third, because that's the amount of battles we need. Because, you know, for every 1 experience, for every 3 experience we get, it's a battle. So go ahead and get that calculator. So let's see here. So 24,984 divided by 3. So we have done about 300 battles. We need 8,382 more battles in order to finish this challenge. My God. Woo! Alright, so let me take a look. So it is... Let's copy and paste this. Copy. And there we go. So here is our final total for this particular stream. So we are halfway there, friends. We are halfway to finishing this challenge. We still got a long way to go, but we are less than half. We are less than halfway done. No, we're more than halfway done. Excuse me. We're more than halfway done this. We need 24,000 more experience, which means about 25 more. I'm just going to say a rough 25 more experience, or 25 more streams. Let's see. I'd say I'm already halfway there. Halfway there. Halfway there. Halfway there. Yes. Oh, we're halfway there. Wow. Living on a prayer. Yes. We are halfway there. So friends, this is where we are calling a night. If you haven't already, go and hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, or if you're already on Twitch, you can hit that follow button. It's absolutely free, and I do appreciate it. You could also head to our Discord. Here you go. I'll go ahead and post the link here in the chat, or at least in Twitch chat. Or if you're on the YouTube side, you could go ahead and hit the link down in the description below. You can head there, you can communicate with us, you can talk to us while we're there, you can participate in polls for Free Stream Friday to decide on what game we play for Friday. You can also be notified as to when we go live, as well as when videos get pulled up. I'm a .hack YouTuber, I do .hack things for .hack people, and yes, that is where we're going to end it for tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by. Artificial Devil, you're awesome, my dude. Very good communicating with you. Thank you for the follow. Let me go ahead and thank everyone who joined here tonight. Neo J, you're awesome. Thank you, bud, if you're still here. I appreciate you as always. Oboro, thank you for being here, dude. I'm not sure if you're still here, but if you are, you're awesome, my dude. Titan, as always. Jacob, Thank you all for stopping by. Tara, I think earlier you did. Thank you, bud, for stopping by, saying hello. You know, I'm glad you did. And I hope I'm not missing anyone. If I did, I'm so sorry. But until then, friends, stay classy, stay beautiful, but most importantly, have yourselves a good night.